My name is Jake. I drive trucks. For about a decade now, I've crisscrossed the rugged landscapes of the United States, hauling loads from one destination to another. My days are filled with long hours behind the wheel, punctuated by fleeting moments of rest in roadside motels. I'm no ghost hunter or conspiracy theorist. I'm just a man with a deep curiosity about the world and a keen eye for the extraordinary. You won't find me scoffing at tales of strange things or dismissing UFO sightings outright. Nope, I keep an open mind because, out here, you never know what's just around the next bend. I've had my fair share of breakdowns, long waits for mechanics, and nights spent staring at the stars while stranded in the middle of nowhere. But even those moments have their own magic. There's something about the solitude of the road, the hum of the engine, and the whisper of the wind that fills my soul with a sense of freedom and adventure. But this night was something different. It was a chilly evening as I drove my truck through the vast and mysterious landscapes of the Pacific Northwest. Over the years, I had seen my fair share of oddities on the road, from strange roadside attractions to eerie ghost towns. But nothing could have prepared me for the night I encountered something truly unbelievable. As I made my way down a deserted stretch of highway, my truck suddenly sputtered and came to a halt. "Not again," I muttered, pulling over to the side of the road. I knew this wasn't going to be an easy fix, so I radioed for a mechanic and settled in to wait. The woods surrounding me felt dense and imposing. The darkness seemed to creep closer, and the eerie silence made my skin crawl. I tried to shake off the feeling of unease, reminding myself that it was just another long night on the road. As minutes turned into what felt like hours, my nerves started to fray. That's when I heard a rustling sound coming from the tree line. I peered out the window, trying to see what was causing the disturbance. At first, I thought it might be a curious animal, but what I saw next defied all logic. Fist-sized rocks came hurtling through the air, first one, then another, then several in rapid succession, crashing into the side of my truck. I ducked down instinctively, fearing for my safety. Then, emerging from the shadows, was a towering figure unlike anything I had ever seen before. It was massive, covered in shaggy hair, and had a face that seemed both human and beastly. I couldn't believe my eyes. It was what I can only assume was what people call Bigfoot. Bigfoot was real, or at least, that's what I was seeing. As the creature approached my truck, I could feel the adrenaline surging through my veins. I didn't know what the creature wanted or if it meant me any harm, but I was not going to take any chances. I locked the doors and hid inside, praying that the sturdy metal would protect me. But the creature didn't stop at throwing rocks. It seemed determined to get to me, banging on the truck's exterior with incredible force. Each thud reverberated through the cabin, making my heart pound even harder. The sheer power of Bigfoot was overwhelming, and I realized just how vulnerable I was. As the monster's onslaught continued, I felt a primal fear grip me like never before. The creature's relentless assault on my truck seemed almost calculated, as if it wanted to break through the sturdy metal barrier that separated us. Each thunderous bang echoed through the cabin, resonating in my bones, and I could hear the metal groaning under the force of the blows. My mind raced, trying to make sense of the situation. Was this some kind of territorial display? Or was the Sasquatch creature genuinely threatening me? I had heard stories of encounters with this elusive creature before, but nothing could have prepared me for this harrowing confrontation. As seconds turned into minutes, the banging intensified, and I found myself shrinking further into the shadows of the cabin. The adrenaline coursing through my veins kept me hyper-aware of every sound, every movement. My breaths were shallow, and my heart pounded so loud I feared the creature might hear it. The inside of the truck felt like a pressure cooker, my fear and anxiety reaching a boiling point. I knew I had to keep myself together, stay calm and rational, but it was easier said than done. My hands trembled on the steering wheel as I considered my options. I weighed the risks of venturing outside against the potential danger of staying put. Panic threatened to consume me, but deep down, I knew that leaving the safety of the truck could be a fatal mistake. I huddled close to the window, trying to catch a glimpse of the creature without being seen. Outside, the moon cast eerie shadows, making it difficult to discern much detail. But through the darkness, I could make out the massive, shaggy form of Bigfoot. Its eyes glowed with an otherworldly intensity, reflecting a mix of curiosity and something I couldn't quite place, a hint of something more complex than mere aggression. Time seemed to stand still as I waited for the confrontation to end. The rhythmic thumping against the truck's exterior persisted, but gradually, the force behind each blow lessened. Was Bigfoot losing interest, or was it merely toying with me? Just as abruptly as the attack began, it ceased. The woods fell silent again, leaving me in a state of disbelief and exhaustion. My heart still pounded, but now with a mixture of lingering fear and lingering awe. The encounter had been surreal, and I struggled to reconcile what I had experienced with the reality I had known my entire life. As I sat there, collecting my thoughts and catching my breath, I couldn't help but wonder what had driven Bigfoot to act with such force and determination. The encounter had left me shaken and changed. In hindsight, the whole attack lasted less than a few minutes from the rocks to the monster pounding on my cab. But they were probably the most terrifying 5 minutes of my life, leaving me with a newfound respect for the mysteries that lurk in the hidden corners of our world. Time passed in a blur as I huddled in my truck, waiting for the mechanic to arrive. It felt like an eternity before I heard the distant sound of an approaching vehicle. Relief washed over me as I knew help was finally on its way. When the mechanic arrived, he was taken aback by the extent of the damage to my truck. "What on earth happened here?" he asked, surveying the dents and scratches. I don't know," I stammered, unsure of how to explain the truth. Who would believe that I had just had a run-in with Bigfoot? As the mechanic worked on my truck, I couldn't shake the memory of that towering creature. It felt like something out of a wild fantasy or a horror movie. But deep down, I knew what I had seen was real, even if nobody else would ever believe me. From that day on, I became more than just a truck driver with odd road stories. I became a witness to something truly extraordinary. Whenever I shared my tale with fellow drivers or locals, I was met with skepticism and laughter. But I knew what I saw, and it was a memory that would stay with me for the rest of my life. So, as I continue my journeys through the vast and enigmatic landscapes of the Pacific Northwest, I can't help but wonder what other secrets these woods might hold. And while I may never encounter Bigfoot again, I will forever carry that night with me, a testament to the mysteries that lie just beyond our understanding.